Some stories leave you unsettled. Some stay with you for a night, but a few never leave you at all. Tonight, I'm going to tell you 3 real-style horror cases events sent by people who swear they lived through every second of them. Turn off the lights, put on your headphones, and get ready. Because once you hear these stories, you might never look at the night the same way again. A low rumbling drone fades in. The first case is known as Highway 47's Last Passenger. The narrator explains that he had been a rideshare driver for 3 years and never had a strange experience until last winter. At 2:17 a.m., he received a request on Highway 47, a road drivers avoid because it cuts through miles of dense forest. The weather was cold, fog so thick he could barely see the road, and the windshield wipers moved slowly back and forth. As he pulled over, a man stepped out of the fog wearing an old coat, pale face, and eyes wide open, as if he hadn't slept in days. The man slid into the back seat and shut the door with a quiet click. In a soft, shaky voice, he said, "You shouldn't take this road tonight." The narrator let out a nervous laugh, assuming the man was drunk or trying to be funny, but the man didn't smile. For the next 20 minutes, the stranger behaved oddly. He kept checking a rusted old key, rubbing it with his thumb over and over. He stared out the window as if expecting something to appear out of the darkness. When a police cruiser came into view in the rearview mirror, the man instantly dropped down between the seats, hiding like a fugitive. He whispered, trembling, "Please, don't let them see me." The narrator felt his heartbeat rise as he continued driving. Every few minutes, the passenger changed directions left, then right, then asking him to slow down as if he were avoiding someone. Or something. Eventually they arrived at an abandoned farmhouse, isolated, without lights, and surrounded by empty fields. The man finally sat upright and spoke normally, almost calmly. "If my body is found tomorrow, just know I tried." He stepped out, disappeared into the dark, and left the old key on the seat. The next morning, the news reported a body found near a farmhouse off Highway 47. The same man, same description, murdered. The narrator checked his dashcam footage. In the window's reflection behind the man stood a second shadowy figure watching the entire ride. He ends the case saying, "That night, I didn't give someone a ride. I helped someone run from something that found him anyway." Fade to black. The second case is called Room 302. The tenant before me. The narrator says he moved into a cheap apartment in the city room 302. Great location, low rent, almost too low. The landlord seemed nervous while handing over the keys, smiling awkwardly as he said, "People don't usually stay long, but I'm sure you'll be fine." The narrator didn't think much of it until the first night, when at exactly 3:11 a.m., someone knocked, not on the door, but from inside the bedroom wall. 3 slow, heavy knocks. He assumed it was plumbing or an old pipe. The next day, he discovered a box hidden behind the wardrobe containing Polaroids, a journal, and a hospital ID card. The journal belonged to the previous tenant, and almost every page ended with the same line, "Don't talk to the girl in the wall after 3 a.m. He thought it was a cruel joke, that is, until the next night. Again at 3:11 a.m., the knocking returned. Then a faint whisper followed, "Can you help me? I'm stuck." The voice was that of a little girl, soft and trembling. Before he could react, she whispered again, "Don't turn on the lights. He'll know." Terrified, the narrator researched room 302 and found an old article about a man and his daughter who once lived there. The girl had mysteriously disappeared. The father was later found dead inside the apartment. The case was never solved. On the third night, the knocking turned violent. The wall shook. The whisper became crying, and then a deeper, menacing man's voice growled from inside the wall. "She's mine. Leave." The lights flickered violently. The wardrobe slid across the floor on its own. Something thrashed inside the wall as if trying to break out. The narrator grabbed his bag and ran out, leaving the apartment permanently. When he returned the keys, The landlord didn't look surprised at all, only tired. He sighed and said, "Room 302 never lets anyone sleep for more than 3 nights. Fade again to black." The final case is called The Patient Who Died Twice. The narrator was a nurse working the night shift at St. Mary's Hospital. The hallways were quiet, dim, and eerie. At 2:04 a.m., a patient named Mr. Harris, 76 years old, passed away. The doctor confirmed the time of death and the body was moved to the morgue. But at 2:37 a.m., the elevator opened on the empty floor, and Mr. Harris stepped out. He was alive, walking slowly, dragging one foot, pale and confused. He looked directly at the narrator and said, "Where's my room?" "It's cold downstairs." The narrator froze. This simply wasn't possible. Security was called, and they checked the footage. At 2:37 a.m., the elevator doors opened on their own, even though the car was empty and no one had pressed the button. The pressure sensor activated anyway. The camera glitched for a second, showing a tall, dark shape. Then suddenly Mr. Harris appeared standing there. When they spoke to him, he said things like, "They're calling me back, and I wasn't supposed to leave yet. And they don't like light. Keep the lights on." But at 3:12 a.m., the power flickered. The lights went out for just 2 seconds. When they came back on, Mr. Harris was gone. The hallway was ice cold. A trail of wet footprints led toward the morgue. Staff rushed downstairs and found him lying on the same table, dead again. And the time of death was the same as before, 2:04 a.m. Later, while reviewing footage of the blackout, they saw it. A tall, dark figure standing right behind Mr. Harris, guiding him back down the hallway. The narrator ends the story. "People say you can only die once. But that night, I watched someone die twice. And he wasn't alone either time." These were 3 cases from people who swear their experiences were real. Whether you believe them or not, that's up to you. But remember, the world is full of things we still can't explain, and some things don't stay dead. A slow ambient hum fades into silence.